And every single time, without fail, if it's a man or a woman over 40 years old, trying to figure out what my secret is, how I can stay so lean and healthy at 50 years old, every time they're making one of the 3 mistakes that I'm going to share inside this video. Hey everybody, Coach Sean, the Rip Grandpa, and the very first mistake that I see men and women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s make in their quest to lose the stubborn fat, to get a flatter belly, the first mistake I see is simply this: too much cardio. There's several negative effects of doing excessive amounts of cardio on your hormones and your metabolism, and the research bears this out. Now, before I share that, I want to preface this by saying, I'm not saying don't do cardio. I'm not saying cardio can't be effective. You're going to burn calories. You're going to strengthen your heart. So yes, cardio should be a part of your plan, but it should not be the be-all, end-all. And this is the thing. When people start to lose weight and they start following a diet and an exercise plan, they become overly ambitious and they think more cardio is better. And it ends up being a double-edged sword. And I'm going to share why in just a second. So I'll also share what you should be doing instead. But first I want to share a story of Danny. I was coaching Danny. He's 46 years old. And we started looking at why he was at a plateau. He was 6 weeks in, and he was doing 5 to 7 miles every single day, running 5 to 7 miles, and he couldn't lose any belly fat. So I started diving in. His wife was a personal trainer and a dietitian, and she had him on 3,500 calories a day. So the first thing that was happening was he was eating 1,500 calories too many every single day. He should have been at 2,000 per day to be in a slight deficit to lose body fat. So that's a topic for an entirely another video. But then we started looking at that cardio regimen. And see, what Danny didn't know, and what you probably don't know, and most people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s don't know, is that too much cardio increases your cortisol, your body's stress hormone. It also increases free radicals, which obviously is detrimental to your immune system, so it can lower your immunity when you do too much cardio. Also, too much cardio suppresses your body's ability to convert T4 hormones, your inactive thyroid hormones, into T3 active thyroid hormones that your body's cells can receive and use. Now, why is this so important? Because your thyroid actually helps control the speed of your metabolism, and it helps regulate your body weight. And when you're doing too much cardio and you suppress that master metabolic gland, that can be terrible for your metabolism. Now, there was another research study that showed people who did cardio ate 100 more calories after the workout than they actually burned off, completely defeating the purpose of the cardio workout altogether. So it increases your hunger and cravings. Now, if you're a guy, this last one is really important because it actually decreases your testosterone levels. They've done several studies on endurance athletes, and they suppress their testosterone levels. And of course, indirectly, you're going to burn up muscle, because when you're doing a lot of this long duration cardio, a lot of times your body has no choice. It starts tapping into muscle tissue and using muscle tissue as a fuel. So what should you do instead? What I told Danny to do, I said, Danny, do 3 cardio sessions per week, cut it back down to about 5 miles max. Just do 3 of those per week and replace the other 4 sessions that you're doing with high intensity body weight training or weight training and a couple high intensity interval training sessions. You see, when you're done doing a normal cardio session, let's say you go out and you run 5 miles right now at a low to medium intensity, you're going to burn a lot of calories during that workout. But 60 minutes later, your metabolism is going to be back to baseline or normal. Well, when you're done doing an intense weight training session or a HIIT session, a high intensity interval training session, where you do a short, hard burst of cardio exercise for about 30 to 45 seconds, go as hard as you can, and then you recover in between for about a minute or two, and then you rinse and repeat that 5 to 10 times. Or when you do a weight training circuit, say you're doing some type of circuit or some type of high intensity weight training routine, my favorite type of exercise, it takes up to 48 hours before your metabolism slows down. So just the act of doing some type of resistance training or high intensity cardio training will actually increase your metabolism for 2 days longer than doing long duration cardio. So cut the cardio and replace 3 or 4 of your cardio sessions each and every week with high intensity weight training session or circuit training, or high intensity interval training 2 or 3 times per week to give your body the ability to recover. There's one last point I want to drive home before we move on to mistake number 2 about doing too much cardio in weight training. You see, if you're a pear or an apple-shaped body, and all you do is start cutting calories, eating healthy, and doing a bunch of cardio, you're just gonna become a smaller pear apple. So not only are you gonna suffer with the consequences of all the negative side effects that I just covered about doing too much cardio, you're also just gonna become skinny fat. You're gonna become a skinnier version of yourself. But when you replace 3 or 4 of your cardio sessions every week with high intensity weight training, when you're done, instead of becoming that smaller pear apple, you have something lean, toned, and sculpted to show for it. You'll be sexier. You will look better, and muscle equals metabolism. You know, if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you're afraid of bulking up, so you stay away from weight training, that is a myth. Muscle equals metabolism. Not only will you look amazing with more muscle, you're gonna burn more calories sitting at your desk, watching TV, while you're sleeping. So do not underestimate the power of weight training if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s. The second mistake that people over 40 make in their quest to lose stubborn fat is a lack of daily protein intake. So I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to burn this into your brain forever. Protein is king. It is the king of all macronutrients. It's the most underutilized, undereaten, underrated macro of all for the variety of reasons that I'm about ready to share with you, starting with something that's called DIT, or diet-induced thermogenesis. See, just the very act of increasing protein intake in your diet speeds up your metabolism while dieting. It's the only macro that actually will increase your metabolic rate when you're in a calorie deficit through DIT. You see, when you eat protein, just the very act of your body digesting that protein burns up to 3 times as many calories as when your body digests fats or carbohydrates. So just eating more protein and having it in every single meal naturally increases your metabolism. Not only that, protein is the only macro proven to prevent muscle loss on a diet. And this is key if you're over 40 years old, because the second you turn 40, your hormones start declining, and the first side effect of that is sarcopenia, which is a fancy word for muscle loss. So this means you're looking skinnier, you're slowing down your metabolism, and you're burning less calories. Well, if you increase your protein intake, you can prevent sarcopenia, and in fact, pre-bedtime protein eaters, those who had 30 to 40 grams of protein about an hour before bed, have been shown to increase their muscle protein synthesis. So in other words, your body's ability to recover, to repair, and grow muscle tissue while you sleep is greatly enhanced simply by having 30 to 40 grams of protein before bed. Not only that, these same protein eaters woke up with more stabilized blood sugar. And when blood sugar is stable, it allows your body to more easily access stored fat cells as a fuel source. So you're literally waking up with your body in a fat burning environment simply by having that pre-bedtime protein intake. Now lastly, and most importantly, because this is the death of every diet, is hunger and cravings. And protein is the most satiating nutrient because it staves off hunger and cravings. I mean, think about it. What's gonna fill you up faster? A big giant plate of beef or a basket of processed bread? I mean, I can barely ever finish that steak. I usually have some left over for the next day. Well, you give me that basket of bread on date night, I'll eat that whole basket and I'll take another one right behind it, and I'm still not getting full. So more protein equals less hunger and cravings when you diet. Now how much? Well, you want to have at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, especially your ideal body weight. So for example, let's say you're 40 pounds overweight, you weigh 220 and you want to weigh 180. Well, you want to have at least 180 grams of protein on a daily basis. Now, if you exercise intensely, I would even argue that more would be better. I fluctuate at around 7.5% body fat. I fluctuate between 185 and 189 pounds on a daily basis. And I consume at least 250 grams of protein every single day. Now, I will be the first one to admit it's hard to do this by just eating chicken and fish and eggs. And if you can tolerate dairy, you got cottage cheese, you got Greek yogurt, any type of turkey. All these things are amazing protein sources, but it's hard to get that much from solid food sources because it is so satiating. So I recommend a couple protein shakes every day to fill in the missing gaps if you're not able to get 1 gram per pound of body weight from just solid food sources. So do not underestimate the power of adequate protein. Protein is the king in your quest to lose belly fat. The third and final mistake people over 40 make in their quest to lose stubborn fat is following a low to a no carb diet. That is right, carbs are not necessarily the enemy. And to close out this video, I want to share exactly how your body works if you're over 40 years old and the importance of carb intake, because most people think that just the magic bullet is a low carb diet. And when you're already overweight and you've been consistently eating unhealthy with a lot of carbs in your diet, and you go on a low carb diet, sometimes you'll probably think it's the miracle diet because you lose so much weight in that first week. But what most people don't understand is that for every gram of carb that you previously ate, your body is holding on to 3 grams of water, and you're storing it inside muscle and liver tissue in the form of what's called glycogen. This is just a fancy word for stored energy. So the second you cut carbs and you go on a low carb diet and you lose that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pounds in that first week, sorry, it's not fat loss. It's just water loss. Now the good news is this is a necessary evil because you have to get through that glycogen and deplete that glycogen so that it becomes fat adapted and your body can start using stored fat as a fuel source. So you just have to stay the course. The problem comes in hormonally and metabolically about 7 days after cutting carbs and going low to no carb. Research shows that your leptin and your thyroid hormones can decline by up to 50% in just 7 days of no to low carb dieting. Well, these are the 2 hormones that will drive your metabolism. They'll control your body weight, and they'll actually help speed up your metabolism. So the solution is strategically add carbs back into your diet the right way. So maybe go low carb for about a week. And now in the pre and post workout window, you want to go ahead and have about 30 to 40 grams of carbs during the week. This will give you energy to get through the workout so you don't feel like crap, but it'll prevent those carbs from spilling over and being stored as fat because you're consuming them before and after the workout. So before the workout, your body's just going to burn through them as energy, and then after the workout, your muscles are kind of like a sponge that's been wrung dry, and so it's very dry and depleted, so they want to suck up nutrients. So nutrient partitioning of carbohydrates, in other words, your body's ability to absorb carbs in muscle and liver tissue after a workout is greatly enhanced, up to 4 hours after a workout. So simply by having the carbs before and after the workout during the week and still maintaining somewhat of a low carb diet, you get the best of both worlds. You'll be able to burn a lot of fat, and you're providing your body with the nutrients it needs to prevent muscle loss. Now, on the weekends, I personally like to intentionally carb load because if you play this out throughout 7 days of the week and you just had that small amount of carbs before and after the workout, it's a healthy choice. But remember, leptin and thyroid hormones will suppress up to 50% in just 1 week of doing this. So by having a couple high carb days, I like to do them on the weekends because we're naturally more social. We're more likely to eat more carbs on the weekends. Now you're resetting and increasing your thyroid and leptin hormones, and research shows when you do this, it prevents something called metabolic slowdown that's caused by low carb dieting. So not only do you boost these hormones, you increase your metabolism, and this is how you can get the best of both worlds. So do not be afraid of having carbs, because if you're beyond the age of 40, you have to remember your body needs these carbs, and that's what most people don't understand, is that many of your favorite high carb foods, like white rice and potatoes, can be your best fat burning friend because they contain the glucose molecules that are the building blocks of these thyroid and leptin hormones that prevent that metabolic slowdown and reset both of these weight management hormones. Not only that, carbs fuel your mental and physical energy because they drive your body's ATP. This is your body's primary energy system, and this also makes them very muscle sparing and anabolic. So by having a very high protein diet during the week, Monday through Friday, and strategically timing your carbs before and after exercise, and then intentionally carb loading on the weekends and what I call carb up on Saturday and Sunday, now you're actually putting your body in an environment where you can build muscle and burn fat at the same time. Not only that, you have the most important aspect of all of dieting, sanity. Because the best diet, let's face it, is one that you're going to be able to adhere to. And are you really going to not eat carbs for the rest of your life? This is exactly why I put together my carb cycling plan called the Over 40 Hormone Reset Diet. If you want to learn more about it, click the link in the description below. But I give you the exact timing, the exact portion control, and the exact food combinations you need to use to keep your body in a fat-burning environment. This is the same exact technique I've used for the last decade to maintain close to six-pack abs year-round. Now, let's summarize all of this and put it all together so you can take it home and use it and apply these same things inside your daily schedule. The first thing we talked about was too much cardio wreaking havoc on your hormones and metabolism. So how should you structure your exercise plan and your cardio workouts? Well, here's what I do. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I train with weights. I train intensely with weights. So it could either be weight training, and I recommend free weights. Machines are fine as well. You could do some type of circuit training workout, or if you don't have access to a gym or equipment, body weight workouts are fine. Tuesday and Thursday, I recommend high intensity interval training to release fat burning hormones and keep your metabolism elevated, similar to weight training. Remember, after cardio, it only takes 1 hour and your metabolism is back to baseline or normal. After HIIT and after weight training, it can take 38 to 48 hours before your metabolic rate slows down. So it just has way more power for your metabolic punch here. The third thing is Saturday and Sunday, implement your cardio. So these are days where we're more leisure and we have a more flexible schedule. That's when I recommend you have your longer cardio workouts, or you just briskly walk. Now, I want to share that if you want to also do cardio after weights or after HIIT, that's fine too. Walking or jogging at a medium to low intensity in that post-workout window is one of the best timing choices you could have for cardio. And the reason why is because after intense weights and after intense cardio like HIIT, your body releases tons of free fatty acids from your fat cells into the bloodstream, and they're floating around. And if you're over 40 and you're down to the stubborn fat, that last 10, 20 pounds, research shows they can actually resettle into another area of your body. This is called re-esterification. And so these fat cells can literally restore. And a way to prevent that is to simply do cardio or walk briskly after weights or HIIT during the week. Now, this isn't a mandatory thing, and again, this works best if you're down to the stubborn fat, but just a little extra trick for you. Now, how about protein? Remember, we talked about 1 gram per pound, and this is important, of your ideal body weight. So if you're a man, you weigh 220 pounds. Your ideal body weight's 200, you want to lose 20 pounds. You're going to have 200 grams of protein a day, and then take 10 times your ideal body weight, again. So if it's 200 pounds, 10 times that is 2,000. You're gonna have 2,000 calories a day, and that should be your starting point to lose fat. It's 10 times your ideal body weight. I weigh 185 to 190 pounds, and every single day I get 1,800 to 2,100 calories, and then it goes a little bit higher on the weekends when I'm carb loading. And this is a great starting point. You can adjust downward or upward based on your results after a week or two. Now, what kind of protein should you eat? Well, chicken, turkey, fish, red meat, pork, eggs, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, protein powder are all great choices. Obviously, if you want a cleaner beef or more nutritious beef, you want to use grass-fed, pasture-raised pork, free-range eggs, organic meat. All that's going to be a little more nutritious for you, but these are your main staples. And then lastly, what about your carbs? What should that look like? Well, obviously I share details inside my over 40 hormone reset diet, but I recommend Monday through Friday, a 30 to 40 gram carb intake pre and post workout. And of course, you're always going to have that with protein. I talk more about combinations inside my program and how to combine foods the right way, but you're going to have protein in every single meal no matter what. So 30 to 40 grams pre and post workout, to use that as energy to fuel your workout, to make sure that you're keeping your body in a fat burning environment, because you're only having enough to fuel that workout and replenish the glycogen afterwards when it's depleted. And then Saturday and Sunday, if you're a man, I recommend 200 to 300 grams of carbs a day. Now this is, if you're more like 150 to 180 pounds, you're going to be more in this 200 gram range. But if you're over 200 pounds, you're obviously a larger individual with more muscle mass, and you're probably going to need closer to 300 grams. And if you're a woman, it's going to be 150 to 175 grams. And of course, these are just estimates and ranges that you can play with. So hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, share the love. And of course, take a look in the description below at all our resources, including the Over 40 Hormone Reset Diet. Time is always the most precious commodity we have. You know, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer it gets to the end, the faster it goes. And I can tell you at 50 years old, every single year goes faster. So I'm always grateful when people take time to watch my videos. Thanks for watching, and God bless.